Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heck of a play. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. He's going for two. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
That's just a heck of a play. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win. Gonna go for two here. Go for two here. Got him!
One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
All right, we are live again, Thursday Night Football. We actually got a pretty big game tonight to talk about. But before we get into that, we got Chad, we got Rick back. Obviously, Kaylin's still off, enjoying some family time. We posted that picture. Looks like a cute little kid. You guys get a chance to see that?
Oh, I did. Yeah, buddy. Good job, bud.
Yeah.
Thank God that kid looks like his wife. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't want to meet myself and Irene situation. So it turns out
I expected
turns
more
out
hair,
it was
but you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, before we get started, let's kick things off here with our Super Boost because I got it to Pat, and Pat came back to us really quick from CoolBet. So this weekend, Super Boost, play it hard because we are more than due. We got the Packers, the Panthers, and the Cowboys all by 3.5, and that's going to play plus 540. So just
That'll
over
do.
6.5 to 1, or just under 6.5 to 1, I should say. Sorry. How do you guys feel about those picks? I know I didn't really converse with anybody about it. I just had a feeling and I went with it.
Yeah, like I agree with everything so far. I'm big. So the Cowboys, Packers, and Panthers. Is that what you said?
Cowboys, Packers, Panthers, all by 3.5.
Oh, just 3.5 for the Cowboys. Oh yeah, I was afraid
Yeah.
of the 7-point spread a little bit, but I think
Yeah, I wasn't a
3.5,
big fan of that
comfortable
7-point
with
spread either. I just, when
Anytime
I
it's a
saw it, I was
touchdown
like,
division, it scares me. Anytime.
yeah, it's kind of a scary line, and I know Chad
But-
kind of rolls with me on Green Bay. Against Cincinnati, we'll see, man. Like, I think Cincinnati's
It's
in
going
for
to
a
be high
world of
scoring.
hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be a high scoring game for sure. So,
Yeah, I mean, the over on that one's a good play too.
but
Chad,
Green
you
Bay's
still with us?
defense right now,
I'm
top
still
5
here.
in the league or so. So
Just doing some online stuff here, saying hi to some
Gotcha.
people, shaking hands,
Well, the-
kissing babies,
the Packers have like a top 5 defense right now, though. So I don't know whether that'll actually go over or not. We'll see if the Bengals can put up. I think the Bengals have to put up at least 3 touchdowns for that to go over.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I mean, I don't know what things are going to look like. The Packers defense looks like it's been getting a little bit better week over week.
And it got
And
better
the
again
addition
yesterday.
of the addition of Jaylon Smith, that one kind of surprised me, to be honest. I would think that they'd be more in the Stephan Gilmore sweepstakes than that, but I mean, both those guys have new teams. But what do you think about Smith to start?
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't usually sign guys like that, especially mid-season. So it was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, no, as far as Jalen Smith goes, like, I saw the contract, and it's costing the Cowboys $7 million to send them there. It's costing the Packers $700,000. So I understand that.
Sounds
I
like a
don't
good
think
deal.
it was a Jalen Smith thing. I think it was a scheme thing. Because we've seen what this guy can do. He's been a great football player his whole career. You bring in a new defensive coordinator, and he has his worst season. That's not a Jalen Smith thing. That's a scheme thing all day long. And if you can bring in a guy with his kind of talent and at that price point, of course, all day long you got to take that chance on him.
I was trying to figure out what was going on there. I was like, I'm looking at his stats, and I'm like, it doesn't even look like a gradual fall off at all. So that, like you're saying, must be schemed because the guy's what, a 3-time Pro Bowler, I think, or something like that. And now he's just, just getting shipped
He's been an all pro, been a couple Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
He's one of the highest paid linebackers in the league, so you're not going to pay someone that kind of money if you can't play in the system that you have. It just doesn't make sense. It's a mutual kind of
Should've thought of
business
that
decision.
before.
about that.
You think they'd think of that before?
Well, you're not going to hire your coach based off one player unless it's a quarterback. So
No, obviously not.
Right.
But at least that
So
good.
is that confirmed? Is that what we think has happened, or is that definitely what happened? The scheme just wasn't the fit.
well, unless he bangs somebody's wife, like that's the only other option.
All right. Well,
And a good
it
kid from
sounds like-
Notre Dame wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it sounds like our poll question of the day is up. With was it a bad scheme fit, or did he bang someone's wife?
Well, ask Urban Meyer about that. He might know the answer.
We're gonna save lots of time for Urban because Urban's gonna get his due time on here.
Oh, yes.
I will jump in right now. That girl's not old enough to be married.
Yeah. Well, I got some fun. I got some questions for you guys about that when we get to it. So definitely Jaylon Smith, great fit for the Packers. Were you more surprised by that or the Gilmore in Carolina?
I think I'm just more surprised. I guess I'm not surprised because New England does this all the time, just drops guys. But it's incredible to me how a guy could be the defensive player of the year 2 years ago, and now he's being released and going to another team. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he's done this year. I don't know what his level's really at, so I can't really say what level he's playing at this point.
I don't think he's played this year, right? Like
So he hasn't played at all.
he's-
Then, yeah.
He's on the
Yeah, I'm pretty
PUP,
sure
I believe, until week 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
they're-
definitely a cat move.
They're saying that he's gonna be eligible and ready to play for week 7 for Carolina. So it makes you think like maybe they PUP'd him because they wanted to trade him, and if it's gonna take 6 weeks to do it, then why have this guy on your roster? And I'm sure he's not in the locker room, right?
Well, what do we
Probably
think
not,
went
no.
wrong here then? Because wasn't last year he just didn't play because of COVID?
Well, I think he played last year a little bit, and he got hurt. But there was a bunch
Oh,
of guys
yes,
on that
yeah.
defense that opted out.
Yeah.
What went wrong, Chad? I don't know. What do you think went wrong?
I think it's Bill Belichick being Bill Belichick, seeing someone go down in the bottom half of their career. As much as like everybody says that Bill's the greatest coach of all time, I think he's just actually one of the better personnel guys of all time. He finds talent where no one else can, and he never seems to pay somebody when they leave. They don't ever do as well, and he brings them back, right? So I think he saw that Stephan was on the bottom end of his career on the back 9 there, and there's a big price tag coming. So get rid of him now, eat that salary that's there. Because the way the
How
corners are going,
does a guy go for defensive player of the year to the back half of his career in 1 year?
he turned 31. It's pretty simple. It's the NFL. That's that simple, right? Like
Yeah, you'd rather get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late.
the
I
Steelers have
understand.
been
He's not a
great.
running. He's not a running back though. So
You still have to
31
run with the
is-
fast. When you're playing man to man, you got to run against the fastest guys on the team. If he's coming off an injury and you don't think he has that step, why would you not sell him now before you at least get something for him? And the way if he comes out and balls out, now you got to pay him again. Look at Xavier Howard. Jalen just got paid, and all these corners want to get paid after 2 years again. So to me,
Yeah.
it makes sense to get rid of them now, and then you don't have to have that conversation.
I think.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I-
I think it's
I think
funny
that
how
he's
a guy
going
can
into
go
his
that
last
quick.
year right now, right? Like he's in his last year of his contract, so he wants to re-up. New England's not ready to re-up because they have decent corners that are cycling through, and the system that they're playing isn't tied to having a corner like that or of that nature anymore. And they're okay. I mean, they've been okay
Yeah.
without him. The defense seems to be performing. I don't know what was going on with Steve Belichick's face during that game on Sunday, but that guy was making some expressions, I'll tell you that.
He was coming down.
He's a
Yeah,
good
well,
looking dude.
that guy had a whole tin of dip in his lip. So
Well, that's probably
I love how the
a massive
NFL
head rush.
cracks down on so much stuff, but like yeah, it's cool. Like you can definitely dip on TV, but like, do not get caught with a girl dancing in front of you. Do not do that, because
Well,
that's a big.
I think if you have a haircut like Steve Belichick, you can just do whatever the hell you want. Right?
Well, yeah. I think also, I mean, no matter how good of a coach that guy is, as long as you have the last name Belichick and you're on your dad's staff, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like, you think people loved Kyle Shanahan when he coached for his dad? You gotta venture out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, who knows? That
And what is he though? Is he the linebacker coach? Like, that's the most time I've ever seen a linebacker coach get on TV. Right?
So they don't have a defensive coordinator, so he calls the defensive plays. So he's basically the defensive coordinator, but I do think he's the linebacker coach. I think you're right about that.
That's what they showed it as when he came up, though. It was like a lot of publicity for the linebacker guy.
Well, I think you have to bring him up to the ranks in a way, right? You can't just go from being you can't be your dad's assistant to being the ball boy to being the defensive coordinator. It doesn't work like that.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying that usually the linebackers coach doesn't get that much TV time. If it wasn't Belichick's son, he wouldn't be getting that much. So on TV, but we love it. It's good TV.
Yeah, you have to love it. And I mean, that game was great. And leading into that, I mean, think of tonight's game. Think of a Thursday night football game this early in the season that has had this kind of, I don't know, it's a pretty important game for the Seahawks and the Rams. I mean, the Rams have a chance from going from the number one team to potentially losing 2 games in the span of 5 days.
Yep. And being tied with the team that they were up 2 games on a week ago. So it's huge.
Right. So, I mean, to me, I think that the Seahawks, this is a bigger game for the Seahawks, and they're the home team. But another thing, like, when would you think of the Seahawks being the underdog at home to the Rams? Like, how long do you think it's been for something like that?
Never.
Probably since before. I'd say ever since Russ's first year in the league, realistically.
Right. Which
just the division in general. It's just the division is so ridiculously tight that every game I feel like in this division, when it's a division game, is going to be massive for the whole year. You know, it's going to be so tight.
Yeah, I mean, and the Cardinals have another big game this week against the 49ers, and we'll get into the week's schedule a little bit. But with tonight's game, I saw that the Seahawks are wearing like those bright ass green jerseys. I'm sure the Rams will probably be in their all whites, which
yellow.
I mean,
they're in their off whites. They're in like the off white, like
yeah.
It looks like someone just like didn't do laundry.
Green color.
You walk into CenturyLink, that place is full, and you see those Seahawks green jerseys. Do you think that this is gonna rattle Stafford up a little bit, or what?
Not at all.
I'm taking the Seahawks tonight, so I'm all over the Seahawks.
Okay.
I was all over them last week, and I'm all over them this week again.
I think just the biggest thing is that, like, this guy played in Lambeau. He played in Chicago, and, like, even though they sucked, that's a hostile environment.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in big stadiums before. I don't think he's played in a game of this magnitude, which is crazy to say with his, like, career accomplishments with all this shit team. But I don't, like, just growing up playing in Texas, too. I think he played into high school football games that had this kind of impact. So I just don't think it's anything that's above him, right? So he's a complete professional. He's going to be fine. The noise, that might be one thing. But if they can get out there and score nice and early, get the first score, Jalen goes and makes a play, knocks down a pass from Metcalf or Lockett, we're just laughing, right? At that point, the loudest stadium in the NFL gets real quiet real quick. He's gonna punch it first.
I agree, and I'm gonna give you guys the no more hedges bet from our friends over there at Smooth My Balls, who want your balls to be as smooth as Urban Meyer wearing shorts and a button down in a bar in Ohio. And
yes.
Here we go. Write this down because this is paying you good money, boys. Rams minus 2.5, which I know Rick's not on. Stafford getting 300 yards or more. Wilson 230 yards or more. The Rams defense 2 sacks, and both teams having over 1.5 touchdowns. And that's going to pay you plus 550 right now. So 6.5 to 1, for that. That should make the game a little bit more entertaining. If you need that kind of entertainment, I already laid some money on it, so get into it. It's under the Bet Builder at our friends at CoolBet. And if you haven't been to CoolBet before, Liam will drop the link into the comments and sign up with that code. They'll double your money up to $200. DM Chatterai, and we will make sure that you get a extra $25 card. But yeah, back to the game. So Stafford's not going to be flustered, even though that's the case. Rick's still on the Seahawks, but Chad, are you thinking? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's an interesting game. Just going back to last week, we have Seattle coming in 1-2. People really didn't expect them to win that game, and then you had the Rams and Arizona, great game, undefeated. Now you have a win and a loss, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Rams bounce back after a loss, and also interesting to see if Seattle continues the momentum from last week into this game.
Now, do you think that Carson being inactive for tonight, does that hurt their run game, or is their system just built to play?
Well, I'm glad you told me that because he's on my fantasy team and I didn't even know. It's been a busy day.
I saw the alert just before we came on, but Chad, I mean, you're scheming up the offense. Like, are you scheming it up a little different with Carson out? Alex Collins is probably your top back tonight.
Am I scheming differently? Yes. But that being said, you're going to have to start moving Russell real fast. You have no running game, so you got to find out a way to keep those tackles going side to side and not straight up the field. If LA, not St. Louis, caught myself that time, if they can get inside penetration, that's going to end this game real fast, especially with no running game. So Russell's going to have to do that bootleg action, do a couple RPOs where he gets the ball out quick, get him in space making plays. I just don't think it's enough. I don't think if Carson plays, it's enough. The Rams lost a battle last week against a very good Arizona team. And realistically, they could have beat a really good Arizona team last week. They beat the Bucs the week before. I still think they're the best team in the NFC. And I don't think that changes tonight. And I think they actually put a beating on Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't think Seattle can stop them. And I don't think they have the offense to score on LA the same way.
I'm still waiting for Russell Wilson's
guys
best
are running
game,
out here. It says that Matt Stafford is the only quarterback this season that's had over 275 passing yards, 2 touchdowns in his first 4 games. So I would have probably bet against that if someone didn't just prove it to me on the screen, but that seems kind of unlikely. But Rick, sorry, what were you saying?
I said I'm still waiting for Russell Wilson's best game yet. I don't think we've even seen Russell Wilson even come close to how good he is yet this year. And, I still think we're going to see that. And a night like this on primetime and division, I think could easily be that game where we see Russell Wilson light it up. And as good as Matt Stafford is, we can get on his bandwagon all we want. I'll take Russell Wilson over Matt Stafford any day.
Yeah, pass what you're smoking.
All right.
Yo, Rick's got that good shit over there. Yeah, I mean, Stafford has always been the best quarterback in the worst situation. Like, not the best quarterback in the league, but the best quarterback of people in their worst situations. And a guy to have the kind of records that he did in Detroit and to not get run out of town obviously speaks to what he does. And obviously it wasn't his fault. He's the kind of guy that, if they go back there for a game, I don't know if the Rams go back to Detroit this year or next year, whenever they go. They're not going to boo him when he comes back on the field for his first drive, like the way that the Patriots fans booed Brady. Like, they are going to cheer this guy because they want what's best for him, because he's a great football player, but a better guy from what we understand.
Yeah, it wasn't his choice to leave Detroit. They gave him the option, which they've never given anybody. Yeah. And they knew it was time to move on, and he was all about it. And they actually sent him to a good situation. They could have just let him out rot to dry, and they didn't do it. So for once, they did it right. And I think that's the big thing.
Right, yeah. Well, there's Rick's Muskoka chair. He just moved into a brand new apartment, and his furniture hasn't arrived yet. So he
having a picnic out here.
Yeah, he is not homeless, and he does not have no furniture. It's just he hasn't arrived from Calgary yet. Nobody
Yeah.
start a GoFundMe page for Rick.
Yes, don't worry. We don't need any money. It's been a whole month.
Yeah.
These guys told me 15 days. It's going to take a full 30, so a little rough. But
Yeah.
yes, don't worry. If the chair's comfortable and it's got a beer can holder, so what else can I ask for?
Perfect. Yeah, you got a spot to watch the game, so you're in good shape.
got
All right. Well, let's tie a bow on that game for a sec. Maybe we'll swing back to it if Urban Meyer gives us enough time at the end. But there's another pretty big primetime game this week. It seems kind of unfortunate that we go, this game's Thursday night, and then Sunday night we have the Bills and Chiefs, and then to culminate everything at the end, Monday Night Football is the Ravens and the Colts, which is like, I get that probably was supposed to be a good game when they made the schedule, but the way the Colts have played, like, they're absolute shit. So let's Bills and Chiefs. The Bills' offenses looked really good since week 1.
Yeah.
The Chiefs' defense has looked really bad all year. Now, is this going to be a Bills beatdown? Because, like, my gut is telling me that this is a Bills beatdown.
I hope it is, so that the NFL world will shut their fucking mouths about how great the Kansas City Chiefs are.
Yeah,
Hot.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I would love to see them get their ass kicked, but I just can't see it.
They can score.
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Cool. Thumbs up. You haven't stopped anybody. And I think the Bills are the team that can actually stop that. They've had their shot at them now a couple times. They've come up close. But I think now the Bills are built to win now. They're not going to keep that team together for much longer. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And I think they're ready to win. They know this is their year in the AFC. Outside of the Chargers, I actually don't think there's another team that can stop them. Sorry, Rick.
Right.
That's just a real fact.
Hey, that's all good, man.
No, I think it's the Bills' year. I think it's going to be the Bills that come out on top. It's going to be them or the Chargers that win the AFC. And I just don't think the Chiefs can stop anybody. And when you play an actual good football team on all levels, I think they're going to get exposed.
Yeah, I agree with you on getting exposed. I can't see it being a runaway game. I really can't. Like, it's in Arrowhead. It's prime time. Like, the Chiefs have already been embarrassed quite a bit already this year. I can't see it being a rundown. I'd be very surprised if it was a rundown game. But I do see the Bills pulling it out somehow. Though I just can't see how over time the Chiefs defense is able to stop them enough times to win that game. But I'd be surprised if Pat Mahomes lets that game be a blowout. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a blowout. It might just be a really, really high-scoring game. But when it comes down to it, like,
is the over. Jesus.
Yeah,
Like
this is the first game in recent memory that I can think, like, wow, the Chiefs actually might be in trouble for this one. Like, maybe that's crazy to think that.
In trouble, period. I think we're really seeing the Chiefs in trouble, period.
And to be honest, I'm not even sure if it matters if it's because I don't even know who the home team is, but it doesn't even faze me
Chiefs.
So if the game's in Arrowhead, it doesn't even bother me.
And you don't say that too often.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? Like, usually if you're playing the Chiefs, you want to circle where the game is and, like, figure it out. But the crowd is going to be into it, but I don't think that the crowd is going to help the defense at all because they're not going to be able to communicate. They can't communicate when there's nobody in the stands, let alone like when the place is full. So I don't know, man. I feel like the Chiefs are in trouble.
That's another thing, though. That's another thing you got to take into consideration is the sound. Because I know when I watched my Raiders game against the Chargers, that crowd was the first time I noticed the sound really, really mattering and how much it was so different from the past year. And you can see Derek Carr struggling, and like Arrowhead's no different than that place. So that's the only thing I could see actually mattering is that the sound could actually make a difference in this game. But,
right? Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like, anything else from that game that kind of stands out for you? Like, is there something you're looking for?
I want to see the Chiefs run the fucking football. I think they need to establish that. They need to. You can't just out finesse and outscore and be the fastest team always.
Right.
This is the time I think you need to, and especially against an offense like Buffalo's that can score just as much. They almost got to slow the game down. Like, don't get into these track meets. Give
I
your
agree with you
defense.
totally.
It's not very like your defense can't stop anybody, so you can't give the other team the ball. And
And
as
if you're
much as
going
it's-
to, not quick scores like that too. Like have a longer drive so your defense doesn't have to go on the field every 2 minutes.
no, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, if you
Yeah.
want to get into track meets and score every possession, cool, great. But if you're not killing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes, like these, when you throw the ball as much as they do, it actually still ups the chance of going 3 and out. It makes that percentage go up a lot higher, right? And you're not letting that clock run.
Yep.
So, and against a team like Buffalo, they got to find a way to run the ball, or even run your screens, run your dump downs, do check downs. Fine, like if you want to use the pass as a run, cool, but you got to find a way to keep that clock running, keep your defense on the sideline, and slow that game down. Make it ugly if you have to, and you'll gain a whole lot more respect from your fan base by winning ugly than you will ever by just getting these shootouts every week.
Yep. Totally agree.
Well, the Chiefs fan base itself is pretty spoiled over the last, I don't know. I mean, you could probably say 3 years, but it's more like 10 when you actually factor in like Alex Smith had some pretty good years there. And we could go back as far as Priest Holmes and Larry Johnson being there. But I think that they like this new style after having all those running backs and those running teams. But what the fans want is generally not good for the actual team itself. And I agree. I don't know, man. Like whatever is telling me that the Bills are the team to pick in this, and I probably wouldn't pick them outright. I would probably take them on the tees, which if you take them on the tees, you're probably getting up to like almost 10 points. But I'm definitely thinking the overs to play here.
Yeah, it's a big over too.
Is it?
56.5 to start.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
But it'll probably still go.
I don't know. I took the over in a college game, and it was like 75. So
Is that Ole Miss? The Ole Miss game a couple weeks ago?
I think so. Yeah.
That's the most ridiculous spread I've ever seen. It was like 76.5.
Yeah, I mean, when you get offenses like that, and like even good defenses, they just weren't able to hold it. But I wanted to, I'm gonna pivot for a second and talk about a defense that probably should be a little bit better, and they look like they were going to be better. And I don't understand what's happening with the Saints because they are the complete Jekyll and Hyde right now. And I feel like with the division that they're in, and I feel pretty good about Carolina winning. And I also think that there's not much of a chance that the Bucs lose this week.
I can promise you we're not losing this week.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
Miami
well, hey.
team is dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have gotten a little bit of hate mail because of the Dolphins hatred that we've been spewing out here. So
Well, I'll tell them to back it up. We'll stop talking shit about you and you guys start doing something meaningful.
yeah, well, I think that like the easiest thing is we're not going to talk shit about a team that's irrelevant now. So
That's not our style.
which
We
yeah.
kick people when they're down. Ask Nick Newman. That guy's been getting picked on for years.
yeah,
Him and his
I
fucking-
met him.
Hey, Nick
I
Newman,
met
I hope
him
you're listening.
after that.
28-3.
Yeah, I met him after that Super Bowl, and I still talk to him about it. But yeah, I mean, so do you feel like the Saints are in must win right now? Because I feel like they're must win.
I think any team that's not going to win their division, as stupid as it sounds, is in much win, given the fact of I think the Panthers could win 11 games this year.
Yeah.
And outside of that, the NFC West is really good.
Uh-huh.
So I think if you're not going to win your division, it sounds like super cliche, but you need to start winning football games now. And a team like the Saints, they're not going to do it. Their defense is atrocious. Jameis is so hot and cold. He's exactly the same guy he was in Tampa, even though we can see his excuse
He
is
is
gone.
who we thought he was.
Yes.
Oh, it looks like a mirage right now from week one, right? Like week one, we're like, oh, okay, maybe they could do it without Drew Brees, and then
I even
Oh,
ate
wow.
my own words against Jameis Winston after week one. And that
Yeah.
motherfucker tricked me so bad. I've never spoke good about him once. And I did 1 week, and look what he did to me.
Yeah.
well, I think it's a lot for us to expect that they're going to lose Drew Brees and lose Michael Thomas, and this team is still going to be just click along like nothing happened. Like those are two really big guys to lose, and you're seeing Kamara kind of struggle because of it, and the genius Sean Payton. You can only draw up plays so well if they're not executed. It's just not going to matter. But like you said, the defense is playing a problem
they need
too,
to
right? So
they need to stop drawing up plays on Taysom Hill's forehead and actually figure out what's going to work.
yeah,
And if Taysom Hill's the answer at quarterback, then put him in. Jameis does not put the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands, nowhere near enough. That's the best player they have on their team.
Yep.
If you're not going to feed your playmaker the ball because Jameis throws the ball deep, you don't have any real deep threat receivers either. So it's not going to work out well for you. Your team was built off a guy who couldn't throw the ball more than 8 yards. And
I'm taking Washington as my upset pick this week, because I really think Washington at home.
All right, well,
has got a good chance of that.
That's good and bad for me because I took Washington also. I was the only one that actually submitted my picks on time today.
I got it in before the show.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. Yeah, all right. So you can't change. Yeah, yeah. You cannot take Washington as your upset, Chad. We stamped it. No reason.
I don't even think that's I wouldn't even call that an upset.
Well,
we're
going based on the spread. Based on the spread is what we're doing.
I get that.
But yeah, I like the way Washington's
You take the Texans
along,
against
so.
the Patriots, and we'll take Washington against the Saints.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't take the Titans. What a bunch of losers.
You know what? Like, Lucky Kalen has his kid right after that, so that
so
we can't even bury him.
I know. That's so bad. I lost on like 3 survivor pools on that pick. Like, it's so annoying.
Yeah, it kind of won me our survivor pool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, because Rick and I were both on the same one, I was on the Saints. Sorry.
Yeah, we both got burned on that. Crazy.
Yeah, the Saints shit the bed. So Chad's in bonus territory right now, so he's got a chance here. So we'll see how it goes. I think
we don't
have the official standings in front of me, but I think I was still up by 1 on you, Rick, and 2 on Chad. But if he gets some sort, I mean, if this guy gets his survivors going, we're in trouble, Rick. I mean, the main objective is to make sure that Kalen's nutsack ends up back in the Thames River, because it seems like whatever magic water swam up his urethra impregnated his wife. So that worked for him, and the child doesn't have 3 eyes, which is a good thing. So that's a positive also. So
kind of a tough pill to swallow, eh? That kid came out with fucking 3 eyes, looking like the fish from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And it definitely would have been our fault.
Yo, we are throwing the entire kitchen sink at Kalen tonight. He's not even on here, so maybe we should be nice and send him a kitchen sink pizza for their family. From our friends over at Joe Cool's. Right now, if you order food on Sundays, you get 20% off if you get the football combo. Check their socials for that. I don't have the actual code in front of me, but I know that that's a thing that they're doing, and we were supposed to talk about it, and I forgot. So I will write down the code for next time. It's either called Football 20 or something or whatever. I don't know. It's something like that. So check out Joe Cool's socials, and you'll get 20% off their football feast.
Yes, so we'll give Kalen a shout out just for AJ Green because he's turning it up the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, that's because all the coverage is going to Hopkins. But outside of the Saints, what other team is in must-win this week? I know it's only.
I think you got to answer that one, Shane. I think that one's on you, bud.
Okay. So absolutely, the Steelers are in must-win mode, and I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is going to play. I don't know if he passed his concussion protocol. I don't know what his status is for the game. But I could tell you that Drew Lock does not want to face the Steelers again, because that's when shit went downhill for him last year. They ripped his shoulder out of his socket, and Bud Dupree body splashed him. So I don't know.
What's the big problem here, Shane? What are we going to do to get things going there? Because they look like a mess.
Well, the defense is fine. I mean, the defense just needed to get healthy. They're fine. Offensively, they need to figure out a way to help out the offensive line. and give the offensive line the confidence to continue to play. And if they can chip the pass rusher, and naturally we're playing Denver, who can generally rush the passer, and they have good enough secondary, like as good of a secondary as anybody, I would say, at this point. They need to scheme guys open a little bit better, get Claypool back. Juju, I don't know, Juju needs to keep his head in the game, but Roethlisberger just needs to hit the throws. If for some reason those guys can figure out how to get a run game going, and it might even start with like a guy like Claypool on the end around. If they can get that going, we're in good shape. I don't see the Steelers starting 0-3 at Heinz Field this year. That's my saving grace right now. That's what I keep telling myself. That's how I sleep at night. Is I say, there's no way that we're starting 0-3 at home this year. And I think the Denver Broncos coming into town is probably the exact opponent that they need right now. Not that Denver's a bad team, but they're not overmatched against Denver.
And it's a big win, big confidence win if they do win that game. To be the 3-1.
Yeah, I think that they were overmatched against the Packers, right?
Yeah.
You go next, Ricky, because I know when I say my answer, shit's gonna go off the wagon. So I'll let you go first.
Well, there's a few different ones here, but if we're talking about teams that still need to be relevant, that's a tough one. But I think like both of the Saints and the Washington game, I think both of those teams would be huge to get a win. But I don't know. I guess like the Eagles really need to come out and bounce back this week because that division is still never out of reach. You got to just keep winning there. I guess the Titans need to win this week against the Jaguars, but I don't know. Mine was the Steelers, so I let Shane have it. So you go ahead.
So kind of actually exactly what you just said. I don't know if it's so much a team or of a person. Urban Meyer needs a win more than anybody this week. Let's just. I thought that's why I had to go last here.
We had to
ride. This guy had his hands all over a nice co-ed at a bar last week after a loss. Did not travel back with the team, stayed over.
That was the best part. Stayed in the front.
Yeah, he hung out, did some extracurriculars. Hey, the best part about the whole thing was that he got a lap dance. If he paid for that dance, he's owed money back. Let's just start with that.
Yeah. Well,
also, to the fan that's in Ohio, that when he brought national championships there, for you to take a photo of that, you're a bad Buckeyes fan. That's all I'm going to say on that part. Outside of that, and the distraction he's brought into his team, the fact that his team has already came out and said they've lost respect for him and they don't support him. The owner isn't standing behind him, saying they're ashamed of his actions.
He needs to earn trust back. 4 weeks in.
They literally said they roasted him in their team little pep talk. They chanted out the word grind after their practice the other day. And then they all started laughing. So no one respects him in Jacksonville. You're 0-4. You're playing a Texans team we don't know who they are really, and how good they could actually be. They're not playing their best football. You have a chance to win a game. If you don't win it and you don't compete, I think the Urban Meyer experience is over. And I think Urban Meyer needs the win, not the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, well, they're playing the Titans, though. So the Titans are not going to lose 2 in a row against subpar teams. Well, you wouldn't think so, anyways. Maybe they will. That we can really roast Kalen next week. But
that would be wonderful.
But
I didn't realize the backstory of Urban Meyer staying behind. So he told the team that he had to go and tend to something in a restaurant that he owns in Ohio. So he actually owns that bar. He owns that bar. So he told the team that he had to go tend to something urgent. That's why he wasn't flying.
Did he go fix the dishwasher or what?
Yeah. Yeah. So for whatever reason, he owns that place, and whatever asshole was in there and took a picture of him, scumbag move. But what I would say, as guys that have played sports, are you more mad that your coach didn't travel back with you, or are you more mad that like he wouldn't have condoned you to do that. Like, what part of this are you getting mad about?
Well, you're not part of the team already. Like, what coach doesn't travel back with his team? You imagine Mike
guy
Tomlin's
might
like,
go
yeah,
fix the
boys, I'm
dishwasher.
just gonna chill out. Yeah, I'm gonna chill out and go fix the dishwasher at my local bar. I'll see you guys in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh in a couple days. Like, that would never fly. And this guy doesn't even have the respect that he deserves to even say he's staying behind, let alone stay behind and get caught with an underage woman or, someone half the age of your wife anyways. And it's just like, you're 0-4, buddy. Like, you're already on thin ice. Is he trying to get fired? Because that's what it looks like to me. Like, I don't know. Maybe he just wants to get canned. Who knows? But that's unexcusable. You just don't
It's
travel with your team.
George Costanza wearing the Babe Ruth jersey to the boardroom. He's eating the strawberries.
Exactly. You just don't do that kind of shit, man.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, don't get caught. Fuck.
Well, it's just like a cell phone check at the front door.
Well, the guy owns the place, so I mean, like, here's the thing, and I mean, like, this is crazy take, but the guys in the locker room are not mad that he had some girl grinding on him. There's a
Not
picture
at all.
taken. They're mad that he didn't come back, and it's like, dude, like, at least take your lumps like a man. We have 0-4, so what is that in another sport? So I mean, call that you're 0-20 in hockey, and you got the
Maybe
least coach out at out at
Hey, the
real
Buffalo
sports.
Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres coach traveled with them the whole time when they lost 19 in a row.
Yeah, it's just, this guy is commanding a respect that he hasn't earned, and if I had to guess, I think he's angling for that USC job.
Well, yes, he plans to head out there next, right? That's when they head out to the West Coast. That's the plan. I think he realizes
That's the next
NFL's
stop.
not for him. NFL's not for him.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You can't do the things that you did in college. And the crazy part is, if he does that when he's coaching Ohio State, that picture never goes further than the original blackmail email.
Yep.
And that's the sad part. Whether you're a piece of shit or not, when he was in Ohio State, that picture would never have got leaked. And the campus police would have brushed that thing under the rug so fast. The uppers of the athletic department would have shut that down. The president of the university, nothing happened. But no, and I think if he's in a real actual franchise that wasn't Jacksonville, we wouldn't even know about this anyways.
Well, the thing for me, too, though,
don't
is
tell me Jerry Jones doesn't do this shit. Jerry Jones is the biggest scum. He had his side piece on his yacht at the draft, and no one knew.
He's not the coach, though. He's not the coach.
Well, he's the owner. I mean, it's still pretty proud. He's the GM and the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but
he had a webcam. He's going to review film later, I guess. But yeah, he literally had his side piece with his draft when he announced his draft pick on his yacht. And that was fine.
He's Jerry Jones, though. He's earned that shit. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
I guess that's true. I mean, if you're gonna say who's earned it and who hasn't, yeah, Jerry Jones has earned the right to have a side piece on his yacht during the draft chat.
Yes, but even still, though, when you took this job as Urban Meyer, you took this job as a college coach that develops players. Okay, you obviously have developed an amazing program that was good for a lot of years. So you took this job. You obviously didn't expect to be winning right away. Like, you had to know in your mind that this was going to be a work in progress.
I don't know. I saw that picture of that girl, though. He looked like he was winning.
Well, yes, he was winning there.
He was winning at life.
Maybe he just wanted to go to be an NFL coach just to travel everywhere to every different city. Who knows? I don't know. But all I know is that if you took this, you had to have known there was going to be some work to put in. And it's just like, now it's just like the guy's look on his face. He doesn't even look like he cares, And it's just like, how the hell did you get through all these interview processes and they came up to the conclusion that just because you won in college, you were the best guy for this job? I don't know. Like,
yeah, but
I don't think that there was much of an
owner.
interview. I don't think there was much of an interview process. I think that he expressed interest, and they knew they had the first overall pick, and they're like, "Well, let's bring him in." But the funniest part about that video is the memes that are going around that Urban Meyer's gonna tell his wife that that's actually Trevor Lawrence that's dancing on his lap.
Oh yes, I was gonna bring that up. Yes, old sunshine.
Oh,
But I read this article today about all the fuck ups that he's done. And number one is he brought in a strength conditioning coach who's banned from the NCAA for unregimented workouts and for using racial slurs towards black players. So that's a red flag.
Right.
He brought in Schottenheimer to be the offensive coordinator, who was the quarterback coach, who was the OC at Georgia in Lawrence's recruiting year, and snubbed him and said we didn't want him. So now So now your quarterback doesn't even respect your offensive coordinator. And then you bring in Tim Tebow, one of the biggest sideshows that's ever played professional sports in general, not even football, just in sports.
Yeah.
And as if he's going to be the one that changed your franchise. And he was like, you can't tell me there wasn't significantly better players or coaches that you could have brought into the situation. You came in here with a Mickey Mouse attitude to a Mickey Mouse organization. You're getting slapped in the face. You go out and have fun at a bar, whatever. If that's what we're talking about in this whole Urban Meyer situation, that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem
if they're 3-1, if they're 3-1, does he get in trouble for this?
No. Liam's telling me to shut up, so we got to move on.
Oh, he is? Oh,
Yeah, I
didn't even see that. All right. Let's we'll move on to another college quarterback that is making the transition. Actually, a guy from Ohio State where Urban Meyer used to coach. Justin Fields is finally named the official starter for the rest of the year. Why did it take Nagy so long? And the fact that he's making this announcement now, does that mean that the Bears are willing to sign Nagy to an extension? Like, are we expecting Nagy to be the coach of the Bears next year?
If they win 9 games. If they win 8
beat
games.
the Lions. So let's just, hold the horses here.
Well, I'm saying they finally unseated Dalton, but
yes.
They were calling Dalton their starter the whole way, but now he's come out and reset it. So is Nagy the guy to make that decision?
I think
This
it's
year,
the fact that now we have they lost their running back, and if you put Dalton back out there, he's going to die. And I literally think that's what it comes down to. You lost your running game. There's no spark if you don't have David Montgomery out there with a guy like Andy Dalton. So at least Justin Fields can run around, make some plays, and let's see what the kid's got. And if you lose, you lose. You're getting fired regardless.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they could have won that game last week with Andy Dalton or Justin Fields at quarterback.
I think they could have won with you playing quarterback, Ricky.
Exactly. They ran the ball, and Fields didn't even really run at all. He didn't make any plays with his feet. So
I know the luxury of having a really good running back. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, for sure.
It makes you look like a pretty good quarterback to some people.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm saying now this week, I would want a mobile quarterback in there this week without him in there. I'm just saying last week I feel like either quarterback could have got the job done, but obviously you want Fields in there. Like you want him to get the experience now. So especially after getting a win, he's going to have a little confidence under his belt. So.
Right, and I mean, who would have thought? I guess it's not maybe that hot of a take, but who would have thought that all 5 first-round quarterbacks would be starting by week 5?
No one in San Francisco.
Yeah, barring injury, for sure. But most of them are struggling mightily. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lawrence seems like he's starting to take steps in the right direction. He had a good game against Cincinnati, even though they came.
I guess Zach Wilson did look really good, but that was the thing. I swear they said to him, just go do what you did in college, run around and make plays. Because as soon as they did that, he just started hawking the balls up, and they were just coming down with it. So.
And that's what you have to do with those kids. You can't put like little restrictions on those kids. You brought them there to do something. Like let them out there and just go play football, have fun.
Let them do their thing. Exactly.
Go run to the Buick and turn around. It's that simple. Run to the Buick and turn around.
Your mom's calling for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't think Zach Wilson played in the hood though. Just saying.
No, probably not.
No. They play different.
BYU. So
Zach Wilson's never played quarterback on cement.
No.
He's never played quarterback on cement. Like, yeah.
Pretty sure he played on the field hockey fields, maybe.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence hasn't either. But, I mean, do we expect the Bears to, like, does this affect their win total at all? I mean, baseball has a big stat called WAR, wins above replacement. Does Fields have a higher WAR than Andy Dalton?
No.
So are we still expecting 6 or 7 wins?
I think 8 wins is a win for the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's for sure that'd be a win, 100%. Not this year, but you want to get him in. You want to get him in for next year, regardless. The guy's clearly got a ton of talent, so the sooner the better for him. I agree with not getting him in right away. Letting him see a full speed game on the sidelines a couple times before he gets in. But after that, it's like, yeah, okay, you've served your purpose, Andy Dalton. Move along.
Yeah, I think for the most part, they let Nagy decide who was going to play, and Nagy was really sticking behind Dalton, and that's probably was his sales pitch to get him there. And my guess is either the owner or the GM stepped in here and was like, "Hey, if we're not going to be good, we gotta sell tickets and jerseys, eh? So let's."
Well, I have to mention, obviously, because they are playing my Raiders, okay, and I would never in the past would say this. Do we think Fields can handle the Raiders' pass rush? Because I don't get to say that too often. But this year, the Raiders' pass rush has been fantastic, and we've got a ton of pressure. And I think this should be a really good game for the Raiders. I expect us to get after him all day. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way that the spread is built and whatever is, it looks like it's a Raiders win by just a little bit less than a touchdown. But I don't think it's going to be an easy one for Derek Carr because the Bears' defense is pretty strong.
No, for sure.
I think that the Raiders are probably going to win because the Bears are going to make a couple mistakes and give Derek Carr short field. And if you give short field plus your kicker is a weapon, then you're in good shape. But yeah, I mean, overall, Fields needs to play, and the Bears stole him. And I think Bears fans might be disappointed this year, but in the next few years, the Bears are going to be incredibly relevant. And the Bears are probably going to be the best team in that division, provided they can keep their defense together. Maybe as quickly as next year, if Aaron Rodgers makes his departure to Pittsburgh like he's supposed to.
I'm curious to know, though. I'm curious to know, though, because I know when Khalil Mack went there, I can't remember if that was 3 or 4 years ago. I think this is the first time the Raiders have played Chicago since he's went there. I can't remember if he went there. It was 4 or 3 years ago, because I know they only play each division every 4 years. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's the first time they play. So it'd be interesting to see that.
It could be, yeah. I mean, we'll see if Mack is healthy. I know that he left the last game, but I haven't heard anything about him not playing. So
I'm sure John Gruden will be trying to poach him at the end of the game during the handshakes.
Oh, we got our Sooners fan chiming in. Hey, Kelly, don't worry. We saved Texas, Oklahoma for you. I have it on the rundown here. So let's go to Texas and Oklahoma because Boomer Sooner has just chimed in here. So let's have a conversation here. Is there any way that Sarkisian can get the boys together to upset the Sooners here?
No. I think it's that simple. Texas can't compete with the athletes that are in Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma has a lot of offensive line issues right now, as we've seen the last couple weeks. I just don't think Texas has the dogs to keep up with them. And I think Oklahoma's defense is going to eat apart that Texas offense. They can't move the ball the way that – I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Like they won't be able to move the ball the way that Spencer Rattler can. Oh, that hurt me to say. That hurt me so much to say.
No, he's not that bad.
He's pretty good at football. If they can stop the inside pressure, because that's where it was coming from every week, the last 2 weeks. If they can find a way, keep it back in the backfield, give Rattler some extra time, and go back to zone running. It takes all responsibility out of your offensive line. It's like you just step and move. It's made really bad offensive linemen look really good. It's also made really bad running backs look really good. Some guys have got paid in the NFL because of it. Go back to zone run schemes. It's super simple, super easy, and it's easy for young offensive linemen to do. But yeah, I don't think that Texas has a chance going against Oklahoma this week. They don't have the dogs.
Yeah, that's a tough game for them. I mean, like, when I heard that Oklahoma and Texas were ready to move to the SEC, I thought, okay, Oklahoma makes sense. I mean, they've won their conference, and they continue to dominate at that competition. So that makes sense to make that move. I didn't see Texas being a team that was ready to make that jump. Obviously, they hired a coach from the SEC to get themselves ready. They have 3 years to do it. They got to completely transform that roster, but they don't have many guys on that roster that can compete at an SEC level. And I think Oklahoma's ready for it. And I don't know 100% what the outcome is going to look like, but this might be the get right for Spencer Radler game because he usually thrives in big games, and I think something that Oklahoma's been lacking is a talented competition to go against. And Texas is just good enough for Oklahoma to get to the next level, and this one might be like a 2 or 3 touchdown win for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those like 45-21 kind of scores. And
this is going to be one of those games that makes it look bad on Cincinnati when the next ranking comes out, because naturally either Penn State or Iowa is going to lose. They're playing each other. So Oklahoma has to make a big enough statement against a ranked opponent in Texas to make it so that they're the team going into the top 4. Because once you get into the top 4, I mean, you can't get unseated unless you do yourself in, right?
100%. And I think the big thing is like, I think it's safe to say Radler's going to the NFL next year. We all know that. He's not going to go back for his senior season.
Yep.
This is his last time he's going to play Texas.
Yep.
Like, this is like, they've had really good quarterbacks come through the last few years. They've all gone to the NFL. They've all been high level. Do you want to take that step and put yourself in that category? Do you want us to pass them? Or are you going to be just the other quarterback? Like, this is the game that those fans remember is always a game against Texas. Like, that's your big game of the year, right? Like, the Big 12 is dog shit. It's not a very good conference. And this is the game that actually matters.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like they haven't lost to Texas with him as the quarterback, right?
I don't even know the last time they lost to Texas. I'm sure Kelly can tell us. But I have no idea the last time they lost to Texas.
I'm silent on that one,
Zero
boys.
idea.
Yeah, no, I looked over at my screen to see if she had answered, but I guess maybe they're on a little bit of a delay, so we'll give her a second. But when she answers, we'll get back to it. But the SEC and the Big Ten are having a big day too. I mean, with Alabama's going to play Texas A&M. That probably matters to Alabama, not so much to Texas A&M, who's probably not really in the mix anymore. But Arkansas and Ole Miss are two teams that are kind of on the outside looking in. And one of those teams is going to be completely eliminated from playoff contention here. And I think it's going to be Ole Miss, unfortunately. I think Arkansas kind of got embarrassed. And I don't think that they're gonna get embarrassed like that again. I mean, their defense is a little bit better than it looked against Georgia. Their offense has to be better. Their quarterback is a big dude. He's kind of like a bigger version of Kellen Mond, if you can picture that. And as much as I like Ole Miss and Matt Corral, I'd love for that guy to get drafted to a team in Pennsylvania. That's in Western Pennsylvania, but
you need a quarterback. We know that.
Yeah, I think Arkansas would be the play there, and in the Big Ten with Iowa playing Penn State, like where do you guys think that that's going? I mean, Iowa has been quietly the best team in college football, and I don't mean they're better than Alabama or Georgia. I just don't think many people have watched their games or know much about them.
So I haven't seen any Iowa games. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
I watched their game against Iowa State. Yeah.
But like you know how I feel about Matt Corral, or how you pronounce his name at Ole Miss. The guy is probably the best arm I've seen in college football in a long time, just strength-wise. And
yep.
I think that with like I don't even like Lane Kiffin. I think he's a little weasel. But what he's doing down there with that offense is something pretty special. They have the weapons there. I don't think Arkansas – I hate to keep saying some of those other dogs who compete, but Arkansas hasn't been there, and it takes time to get there. And right now, unfortunately, Ole Miss has been building up to this. They've built this offense around that. And Arkansas is kind of like one of those, like, right now teams. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't talked about them.
Right.
Even last year, Ole Miss was making pushes and scoring points. I think Arkansas is a couple years away from being that team to stop them. But I don't think they can score with a team like Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean,
I will say myself, like I would just say, like I didn't get to catch a lot of college football the last couple of weeks just because of my move and stuff. But when we did that initial show in the beginning, I had two of my underrated teams on the list. You know, with a chance to make the top 4 were Penn State and Iowa. So
Kelly's saying that that Texas beat Oklahoma in 2019. and
So that would have
she also
been,
wants to know. She wants to know if
I'll
we can
probably
see
be
her
responsive.
posts.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would have been Hurts. Jalen Hurts would have lost. Ooh, that's a rough battle. That's a rough go. You transfer and you lose to Texas. Ooh.
Yeah, I so like when I hear Jalen Hurts, like, and Kelly's gonna get mad. I don't remember him as the Oklahoma quarterback. I remember him as the Alabama quarterback that got replaced.
Yeah, he
Like-
transferred as a grad transfer.
Yeah, and like that's fine. And like obviously we could all have different feelings over the transfer portal, yada yada yada, whatever. If you want to go somewhere else, just go somewhere else. It's what it is. I'm gonna have a hard time bashing the transfer portal when it's literally the only reason that Michigan State's relevant right now. Like they rebuilt their defense and they got a running back of a caliber, that we haven't seen in Michigan State. I'm saying not in college football, in Michigan State for 8-9 years, and the last guy that was even close to this was probably somebody like Le'Veon Bell, right? Did I lose
Yeah,
everybody?
no,
Oh,
I'm right
never
here. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell is pretty good at college football. Yeah, it's been a long time since you had her back like that, and to get a guy through the portal, of course you're going to cheer for it. Being a Notre Dame guy, we don't get transfers, so I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just biased. All these
Yeah,
guys
nobody
aren't
wants to
smart enough to
transfer-
come. No one's smart enough to come to our
Transferring
school.
into a Catholic school. Yeah, no one's transferring into a Catholic school. Pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the Big Ten and the SEC, they got a couple slugfests this week. That's gonna really take shape on the college football playoff. I don't know how you feel about Notre Dame going to Blackburn this week, but it does. Like, if you believe the predictions, it doesn't look good.
I'm not even talking about Notre Dame right now, okay? We're just leave them alone. I'm still
Okay.
upset.
All right. Liam, sorry, I know we're in overtime, but there was one more NFL game that I wanted to talk about, and it's probably going underrated a little bit, but the Browns and the Chargers. Now, where I know where Rick's going to sit with this, and maybe Chad's going to be the only person that can speak unbiasedly about this game, but the Browns and the Chargers, like where do you sit with that?
You talking to me or Rick? Do you want Rick to go first?
I'm
since
talking to
the
you, Chad,
non-biased
because I
one?
think that Rick's going to be super biased against the Chargers. I'm going to be super biased against the Browns. So let's get the logic out of the way, which is weird that I'm asking you for logic. And then Rick and I will be biased after.
Well, somebody here has to be the brains of this operation, so I'm glad you came in.
You go get
Liam,
it.
I like just because we can't hear you and they can't hear. I saw your face. It's one of those things where the Browns' defense is pretty good. I think they actually have guys that can keep up with the LA. Wow, I almost called them San Diego. It's been a couple of years. With those LA receivers, there's too many teams in LA now. And I'm starting Justin Herbert in fantasy football this week, so like obviously I want him to have a great game. I think the big thing is what the Browns want to do offensively. If they can stick to their true identity, I do actually think they can compete. I do think the Chargers are probably the second best team in the AFC. I already came out and said the Bills are the first team. But it's going to take the Browns, once kind of that Kansas City approach, slow that fucking game down that I said the Chiefs need to do. If you try to get in a shootout with a team like LA, they're done. But the Baker is built off a play action system. Run the ball, take your check downs. Do not look for Odell. I'm sorry, he's a great receiver, but he's not a great receiver in your system. Use the guys that work
that
for
came
you.
out today that he's been playing with a torn labrum for 10 years.
Yeah, I think they're
Baker
just
Mayfield?
trying to.
No, Odell Beckham.
I think they're
torn
just trying
labrum
to.
in his other shoulder. Baker.
It's just one of those things where I think they have to stop taking shots and make Odell happy and just play your game. If you ever watch, Baker's best games are when Odell's injured.
Yep.
Because he's not forced to throw him the ball. And I think that's what they have to get back to and run the ball, run your play action. And that's why Jarvis Landry's excelled in this offense, because that's who he is. But find a guy that does those things that you need, and you just throw into your tight ends and checking down your running backs. You're getting first downs. That's all that matters. And I think the Browns, can they win this game? Yes. Do I think they're going to? No. And I just think Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense is just too much.
I'll honestly say myself, I don't think that the game is that unevenly matched. I do really think that Cleveland has a good chance, but after watching that Raiders game last week, that stadium is rocking, man. And I have a hard time seeing them go down. However, I will say that there was a point in that game when the Raiders got 2 straight possessions when they were storming back, and we could have easily came back in that game when it was 21-14. And they did let us back into that game. So everyone thinks they're perfect and whatnot. They are not. We did them a lot of favors in that game. And the Raiders played like shit that whole first half, did absolutely nothing, and they almost came back and won that game. So I don't think that the Browns are going to let them off the hook the same way the Raiders did. So if they think they can go a whole half of football, without really doing anything like they did against the Raiders in the second half, then I do think, the Browns could easily take it. But I was going to take the Chargers at home. That stadium looks crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if the Browns play anything like they did against the Vikings, it's going to look more like the Bills and Texans.
They get slaughtered.
Yeah, but
for sure.
They might play a little bit better than that, but there's absolutely zero chance that I would go against the Browns or go against the Chargers in that. But yeah, that's about it. Liam's already given us 5 minutes of overtime, so let's wrap this thing up. Before we go, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, Instagram. Check out Chad's stuff on Facebook, and the Instagram stories is always all over that. Twitch is there whenever Kalen gets over having his new baby. It's only been 2 days. He'll probably be back on Twitch playing video games, so watch out for that. And Rick, you got to play him in Madden on there because he cheats. And
don't worry, I'll get him. It's been a few years, but I'll still smoke his ass. Don't worry.
Yeah, someone's got to call out for it. But anyways, boys, let's sign off here. They're about to kick off anyway, so let's sign off, and we'll see you guys Monday. I guess actually Monday we're not on, right? We won't be on until next Thursday.
Happy Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, enjoy the long
weekend. We get football on Canadian Thanksgiving for one of the first times ever. So let's go.
100%.